Welcome to the How I Became Your Mother podcast. I am your host, Kalila Black, and welcome. This is a podcast that I am dedicating to my future children as a way for them to learn me, get to know me as I manifest them into my life. Okay, so I'm just happy to have y'all listening and vibing with me. Maybe what I'm sharing with them will also resonate with you. I've heard a couple of feedbacks around that. So I'm going to keep on sharing and I hope y'all keep on listening. Today's episode is basically, I haven't really titled it yet, but it's giving say what you need to say. 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 And this episode is really a culmination of what's been happening in my life. And I feel like I will start with the dating life because we go into the update, your father update, your father update. So the dating life is very festive right now. It's festive, it's zesty, it's a lot of action happening. In the way that I haven't experienced. Um, I'm being approached, I'm being courted, wooed in various different ways, and it feels good. It feels good. I also feel like I'm stepping into my power. But anyway, where is it right now? So right now, I'm on dating apps. Um, I went on 2 dates last week, and both of those dates was an opportunity for me to say what I need to say. And I feel more empowered because 2 years ago, I would not have felt as certain around sharing something that, especially when I'm not aligned with someone or when I'm crushing on someone, I would never share those things. So, what's going on with your father right now is that I don't think I've met him yet, but I do have some prospects um, that we have to go on a couple more dates, a couple more vibes. See if what's going on is what's going on. But I have been enjoying feeling free and desirable and attractive and having the options um, because I know that once we choose each other, it's going to be lit. Okay. So let's talk about the spark of this episode. So I kind of said this already, but like I've been coming across a lot of instances where it's important for me to speak my mind while dating. And this is feeling like something that I want to share with everyone else because as I'm stepping into my power, I'm like, oh, we all supposed to be honest. If you're honest with people, then you can give them a chance to meet you where you are. Um, and so, like for example, there is this very hot, um, attractive, talented man who has expressed his interest in me, and he's long distance. He lives far away from me, and in the past, because of the fact that I like him and he knows that I like him, I would have hidden the fact that I don't think that we're compatible or that we could continue talking. Like I probably would have just acted a little bit off or disinterested as opposed to just explaining like the reason you're not getting my all is because I don't really see it. Like this is not enough. This building from across the world is not enough. And I was toiling with it because I could feel myself reverting back to the habits of like ghosting and just not being within integrity, because I realized that I'll make excuses for that because it's like, oh, I don't really know him. He doesn't really know me like that. So I don't really owe him my integrity in that way. Like I don't really owe him that. But when I realized like me not saying what I need or what I'm really thinking was causing me to have anxiousness. And I was having anxiousness when I saw a text from him because I'm like, oh, wait, if I should have responded, because if this was a person that was right next to me or living in the same city, I would have hit him and been like, when are we going to link up? I haven't expressed this to him that I didn't like it. And so I went so far as to be like, okay, what do you really want, Kalila? And I was like, well, I want to be able to see him. And if he knows when I could see him, then perhaps we could, see what's up. So I made sure to ask him, like, what, if we could see each other, how soon we could see each other. And because he's super busy and creative and involved, he gave me an answer that was outside of the time frame that I feel comfortable enough waiting and building towards. So I had to say, like, I'm not interested in us continuing, even though I know you feel the fact that I am attracted to you, that I like you, but I'm not going to move forward. I'm not going to put effort towards this. And he was receptive. He was like, okay, this is okay. Like, he heard you. And we still keep in contact. But I felt empowered saying that because I'm like, okay, now I know he doesn't have any expectations, and if he's gonna send me anything, he's not desiring anything more from me than just to send it to me, and I can meet him where he is if I have the bandwidth to interact with him on that space. But I feel like when you're talking to someone, you owe them a level of consistency if that's how you want to be taken, like if that's how you want people to perceive you. So I even felt brave enough to call out like something creatively, which so as an artist, like when another artist expresses that I've been a muse of some sort, or that our interaction has garnered a piece of art, I'm just gonna take it however it takes. Like if whether it lands or doesn't land, whether I think it's real or not, like I'm just gonna be like, oh, that's dope. Like, and I'll have my own thoughts about it. But this particular artistic rendering rubbed me a little wrong because there was a descriptor in the piece. So he shared a piece with me, and there was a descriptor in the piece that felt completely contradictory to who I was. And I mentioned it. And he expressed that he looked at that descriptor differently than me. And, it's perception. Like, whatever, if that's how he meant it, that's how he meant it. But I know that I felt when I read it, I was like, oh, now you're cat. You told me that this piece was for me, and yet the woman that you're describing in this piece is not me. So don't be trying to farm my emotions out. Like that's how I was feeling. So I felt empowered that I called it out, even though we don't have any connections to each other. We don't owe each other. I owe myself the ability to call out or at least question things that come to mind, as opposed to saying like, oh, well, like in another instance, like 3 months ago, no matter if, because I told him I no longer wanted something romantic with him, regardless of what he would have sent me, I would have just accepted it, hearted it, said, okay, whatever, like cool, cool, cool. But I care about my throat chakra. I care about me saying the things that I feel, because if I don't say the things that I feel, then there's a belief there that's happening. And so now my belief is that because we're not serious, I don't have to really be honest about how I feel. And I'm like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. Actually, let's be honest. it's so interesting because as I'm pushing myself to step outside of good girl and step outside of the realm of saying things that are appropriate and acceptable and like fit in a box, I'm I go back and forth and I revert like back and forth um between saying how I feel and just letting it rock, like being like, okay, whatever, like I don't need you to know my thoughts on that. And I think that one of the reasons why saying what I need to say is important is because it validates my own beliefs around my thoughts being important, my thoughts mattering, my thoughts shifting things, my word and my voice holding weight. Because if I don't say what I need unless and if I don't say what I want to say unless conditions are perfect, what that's showing to me, what that the picture that that's painting to my brain is that what I have to say often is not welcomed, or it's not safe, it's not healthy, it's not conducive, it's not contributing to the room. And that has me overthinking what I have to say and shrinking and second guessing and trying to find all of these other words where it's like, yo, whole time, the faster you're yourself, the faster a person can be like, I want to sign up for this experience and I don't want to sign up for this experience. Like, which I'm finding is direct, it's light, it's empowering for real. The other thing I want to say is that I've been collecting evidence whenever I'm trying to adopt a new belief or step into a new identity. And in this case, this is the new identity of my voice, my thoughts, my opinions bring value. They add value to the world. Like they're valuable. That's what I'm trying to work on embodying. And when I think about getting the new beliefs, I try to think about ways in my life where I already have evidence of that belief. So for me, what was making me feel more comfortable saying these things, I made a list, which I encourage you to do. If you are a person that wants to learn how to say and be more direct with your words, your thoughts, your desires, your opinions, I suggest you write down a list of of instances, circumstances, memories where you you speaking was valuable or is valuable. So for me, I'm thinking about how many people talk to me and say like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad you talked to me. You made me feel better. I love your ideas. I love the way you think. Your brain is so interesting. You're so optimistic. I feel better when I talk to you. I love it. You're so like I think about how when I speak, people feel better. I wrote down all of these lists. I wrote down the fact that I've been trained to speak publicly with theater. I've not only trained, but I've found a love, a joy, and a home on a platform. So I'm like, if I can find home in this platform where I am channeling my own truth through the use of someone else's words, maybe I can translate that to any platform and just translate my own thoughts and beliefs into my own words. Just be honest. Like it's the other thing is I rate myself as a human being. As a human being, I am a person that cares for other people. I take care of myself. I think about all the different areas of my life: family, friends, community, health, personal development, career, finances. those places are places where I'm actively seeking progress in. And that makes me, in my opinion, a good person. And I think that good people should be able to speak, because when good people speak, people feel the energy of the good people, and it multiplies the good in the world. So I think about that and I'm like, oh right, I should be saying. The other thing is, when you think about this, when you having a conversation with somebody, I'll talk about myself. When I will be having conversations with people, with guys, men, people I'm dating, and they randomly hit me like, um, okay, so tell me how you feeling, but actually tell me how you feeling. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Tell me how, to actually tell you how I'm feeling. I say, I'm good money, like I'm chilling. And they hit me like, Kalila, you always say that. You said this and this and this is going on. You said this is going on. This is going on. How do you really feel? And then I sit back and realize like I'm anxious, or I'm nervous, or I'm kind of like wired. And then I sit back and I'm like, okay, you was paying attention. Like, you didn't have to read me like that, but you was paying attention, and it actually feels wholesome to be seen. It feels like I exist brighter because you called me out. And saying what you need to say, honoring somebody's truth, even in the moment, even if what you're saying is not necessarily what they're saying, when you're identifying truth, it's a bond there. It's a bond there. You know when somebody come for you and you like, dag, like you saw that, like you saw that flaw, like that's crazy. You, it just brings you down. Like, wow, I'm not invisible. Like I'm a real person, and people can see me. And okay, maybe I'll tighten up. So it also gives accountability for the other person, because you're honoring the fact that, hey, like, don't play like I'm not seeing you. We all here. We're all valuable, and you ain't slick. Like, that's the other side of it. I kind of want to briefly go into what happened, or what I think has happened with me not practicing saying what I need to say, and what the outcome is. Um, and I find that I just think about the earlier days of auditioning, and I'll just give like an audition example. For example, I just said that mad times. I just said mad different ways to intro, and I'm not even gonna go back and cut it. Y'all gonna listen to that. So you know how you go into an audition and you um it's a singing audition, and you have to sing a song, you have to say a scene, and you're reading with someone who you've never met before. A person you've never met before is playing your music. When I was in the beginning of my career, I didn't realize how important it was to say what I needed to say when I walked into the room, because the impression of an auditioner is like, we are at the bottom of the barrel. Like the project, the project, the directors, the creative team is the top, and the talent is like kind of last. So it's like you don't make it, you don't feel respected until you book the room, or book the gig, the job. Prior to that, you're an option, and it's feeling like, oh my God, I gotta be on my best behavior. So you walk in there and you like, oh, let me do this real fast. And then you go in there, you put the music down, and you just assume that the music, the accompanist, the person who's on the keys, know what you're talking about. And it has happened time and time again where I wasn't clear with the tempo, or I assumed that they had a tempo in their head, and they messed me up. And it's like, whole time they didn't mess you up. This is your audition. This is your shot. This person is playing hundreds and hundreds of cuts of hundreds of songs. And the whole creative team actually wants you to do well, because they want to cast you. So whatever you need to do to make sure that the whole experience goes in a way that's productive, inspiring, and conducive to you, do that. So then later on in my career, I started coming in with a grounding presence. I would come in, hi, maybe a new compliment, maybe talk about what I thought about the music. Like, okay, y'all was not playing with this music, right? Y'all said get like I start talking. I go to the accompanist. We sing a couple of bars. I'm like, hey, da, 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 da. This is the tempo. Hey, hey, you feel me? Hey, hey, hey. And then they get in it. They feeling it. I look my eyes into the reader. And I say, hello, nice to talk to you. I'm setting the tone. I'm taking control of my room. And I'm saying what I need to say. Even if that gave me 2 extra minutes in my audition, it's setting me up. People are not mind readers. I even think about when you go to the eyebrow shop. Whenever I go to the eyebrow shop, the reason why I feel like my the reason I feel like my eyebrows eat down, down, up and down to the ground is because I am specific. I sit in that chair whole time. I go to this lady. I really go to the same lady OD over and over and over again. But I know she does thousands and thousands of eyebrows every month. I can't imagine that she can kind of decipher what my shape was after it grew out. So every single time I lay on that lady thing, and no matter how many times she says, "Okay, yes, I know," I'm saying my thing. I get down, I say, "Hello, make sure you clean up the bottoms. I want you to clean the middle of my eyebrows, but I do not want you to curve my sides. I want that to be left natural. I want you to trim it, but I don't want you to pluck hair. You can take like so very, very specific. I like it medium. I like it like this." She lets me sit there. She does it. She even respects my how what I'm saying so much that she will get a mirror in the middle of it and say, "Okay, how is this?" And I'm like, "Yes, you're eating, you're eating, you're eating." Because I'm saying what I need to say. Like I'm saying what I want. It's also really, really prevalent when we step out, because this now we're talking about individual stuff. Now let's step out and talk about the bigger picture. When we're talking to creation, when we're talking to the universe, when we're talking to God, when we're talking to our inner being, saying what you need to say, aka speaking your desire, saying what you want, has become so important because most of us really kind of rely on residual energy and residual plans. So, like, for example, millennials, our generation was taught you get a job, like you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job, you buy a house, you get a family, and then you retire. That structure, even though we all know that thing has a lot of holes in it because of the way the economy has shifted, because of the healthcare system, because of just how people are no longer wanting, our generation is no longer wanting to trade in 60 years of their lives for a promise of the other part of it being semi okay. Like people have shifted. So, but because the climate has shifted, is an indicator that what we want also needs to shift because the climate is a result of what we were saying we wanted in the past. So, for example, from the outside looking in, I know and feel like I see a lot of my peers, college, people that I went to college with, people that I did shows with, have aimed for this thing, for this, like, I got a husband, I got my children, I got my wife, and we gonna live, a good life, and we going, that's it. And they get their wife, they get the children, they get their house, and then they are all unhappy. And the reason that they're unhappy is not because they picked the wrong thing or they picked the wrong, desire, but it's because they needed to keep on saying what they needed to say. They needed to keep on desiring. We have a misconception around that once we get to a certain level of status of a certain level of status with a certain level of financial, maybe some of it's financial, some of it is like familial, some of it is like, some people feel once they get to a certain place or age, it's like this is where the things stop, and we got to keep on going. So after you've gotten what you needed to get, after you've experienced the joy of, say, marriage and being married, and it's feeling a little complacent right now, in my opinion, in order to keep saying what you need to say, it would be time to connect with the wife or the husband and be like, all right, it's giving a piece of staleness over here. Like it's not feeling the same. Like, what do we need to invigorate this? What do we need? What's our next dream as a husband and wife for our relationship, for our household, for our dream? Like, where are we going next? That's you saying what you want from the universe so that it could now create new doors. It could now create new space, because sometimes we find ourselves going with the flow, and it's like, this is what I'm doing, and if God willing, we're going to do something. I don't even know. And then we wait for the internet, we wait for politics, we wait for our pastor, we wait for other signs to let us know what we should be thinking about doing next, as opposed to continuing your own dream. This is your own path, your own desires. And if you can't even get it out your mouth, how do you think somebody's going to be able to get it back to you when you can't even say what you need to say? So speaking your mind is also about speaking your heart, your desires, your truth, and speaking to God around what you want to continue to experience. The other thing I want to just go back a little bit about saying what you need to say, is preference actually creates clarity. It's not so much of a disconnector or a deterrent as it is a connector of what you really want. And I got this from my dating coach, Tora Sense, when I was talking about being specific on my profile and how I didn't want to say this and I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to deter the wrong man. And it's like, you can't ever deter the right person from you while being your true self. If you're talking from your heart, if you're speaking from your inner being, if you're speaking from authenticity, from an authentic place and authenticity, your person is only going to be attracted to you more. She gave me an example. Tora gave me an example of magnets, and it's like a magnet either attracts or repels. If you're a magnet, you want your sauce and who you are to be loud, and we're magnets. Law of attraction, we're magnets. We're magnets for everything, for love, for health, for wealth, for ideas. We're a magnet. So the more we solidify our inner world and our say, like, okay, this is what I like. This is what actually I want. I actually desire this. I'm making a choice, saying what I want. That's the fastest way to get it. Wow. So I think that what I am wanting to pass on to you from this lesson is speak your mind. You know, your mom is a tactful woman. I believe in tact. I believe in kindness. I believe in being cordial. I believe that a person who is able to say what they mean in a way that is heard and received by the other person is brilliant and clever. Like, I took a course where one of the principles is that communication, or like, the things are 100% your responsibility. So like, basically communicating your idea to the other person is 100% your responsibility. I that's how I go. So when I'm talking to somebody, I'm thinking about what I know of their background. I'm thinking about how they've spoken to me. I'm thinking about how I can share my heart, but also what I want. And it has made me a wonderful communicator, more empowered, more secure, more confident. And I'm grateful for that. Like, it eats. It eats. And I want you to know that your voice is it's a direct what you're saying, your throat chakra, what you're standing on is so important because it's connected directly to your experience. I want to thank God for this podcast, for this commitment. I said I'm gonna make it at least to 40 episodes, and I'm going. This is gonna be another week where it's on time, and another place to share my thoughts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for going there with me. And what I hope you know is that in order for you to be a balanced, giving, connected, generous person, you need to make sure that you are nourished and nurtured first. You are your first responsibility. Everyone else is your next responsibility. Even when you have children, you would be your first responsibility because your children won't do well if you're not well. That's how it works. So I just want you to know that what you say and what you mean is important. Okay, let's go to the 36 questions. Let's go to the soul question. The soul question is us playing this game called 36 Questions of Love, it was created by the New York Times, and they did an article of increasingly vulnerable questions that, if said with a partner, is supposed to make you fall in love. So let's see. We on to question number 16. Question number 16 is, what do you value most in friendship? Well, as we know, my name means friend. I take that very seriously. I feel like my friends and my family are occupying parallel spaces in my heart. Like I feel an even amount of love for my friends and my family, even if the love is in a different place in my body or in my space, it's equal in value. So I love my friends. What I value most is probably the accountability of my authenticity. My friends are people who know me, know my iterations, know where I want to go, know what I'm trying to do, know what's happening, and they're able to say, okay, that's not really my perception, or Kalila, well, actually, you did this, or well, hey, don't you need to be doing this, or what are you doing about this? The accountability, the commonality, the support, the love, the time, the memories. I really love spending time with my friends. I love the cookouts. I love the game nights. I love the concerts, the festivals, the clubs, the trips. I love our family time with their kids or parents. I value the relationship. My friends is my booze. They my booze. I love them so much. Okay, so if you only remember one thing, what I want you to remember is say what you need to say. 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 Thank you for listening. Could y'all send me a little note or a little text, a little something, very much something, if this hits you, if this inspires you, if this makes you laugh, if this makes you cry, like what? Send me something, very much something, so that I could feel you. And to you, my baby, good night. Thank you for listening. I want you to know that I am in the process of preparing, gathering, nurturing a wonderful foundation for you to bust through life into. I'm getting myself together and getting you a good old place to land, and I'm happy. So thank you for listening. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.